Thank you for joining us on the Kevin Preston Toy Box. Once again, we're bringing you another great toy from the past. This time, Marx Big Job Dump Truck. Yes, this is the Marx Big Job, a truck that I've been looking for a while, and sometimes it can be quite expensive, especially with the box. They can run $150 or more. I got this one for a lot less. The eBay seller said it didn't run, and it didn't. And I've done a few things to it so far. I've cleaned the battery contacts and got the thing to come back to life, but unfortunately, it only partially works, so I'm going to have to take it apart. What I got going was I redid the battery contacts, and I got to go forward, backwards, and I can also activate the dump. Go ahead and get it to dump. And of course, lower. Which are two key functions. Also, the forward drive and the emergency stop works. That works. Reverse works. Okay. So what doesn't work on this toy? This toy is really cool because in addition to the electric dump and electric forward, they've kind of refined the concept from the Big Bruiser days. I think this came out a few years after the Big Bruiser. And they have electric motor and a remote control, if you will, or a remote switch here for the steering. And it should buzz a little motor and turn those wheels left and right, but as you can see, it doesn't do anything. So that's probably either the motor is seized up or there's an electrical connection problem or something. The other issue is there's a really neat noisemaker back here. And what this noisemaker does is it's a multi-position switch that creates a little noise like the engine's running, and it doesn't work either. So I'm going to have to take the unit apart. So we're going to take it out to the workshop and repair this very nice Marx Big Job. The good part about it is that the decals are in relatively good shape. They're all there. It's a little dirty, needs to be cleaned up here, but nothing really bad. And aside from there's a little nick right here on the directional switch, and but aside from that, I really don't see anything else wrong with it. It's all there. The windshield's there. The wipers are there. The knob here is there. The switches and levers are all there. So overall, it's a real nice truck. I like that the horn works. It's a cute little item right there. So fortunately, we're going to have this thing back up and running. I think it's going to be a little challenge to get it apart, but let's take it out to the workshop and see what we get. Well, here we go. We're back out in the workshop. We're going to start the teardown process and attempt to fix why the front wheels don't want to turn and why the motor noise won't work. The rest of the unit's working, so we know we're getting battery contact. I can go forward, backwards, what have you, and manipulate the dump control, but it won't do anything more than that. So we're going to start by removing the cab and see if we can open this without taking the bed off and get the motors working. So we'll take this step by step. You can see how this cute little accordion thing works. It forces air up to this little reed right here and makes that horn noise. Very cool. Now let's try to figure out why this switch won't activate the motors that control the wheels. Alright, as you can see, I've got the top part, which includes the rear axle wheel and the dump bed, separated from the chassis. What I had to do to make this happen was, just like in the Big Bruiser, I had to straighten out these metal tabs here in the frame, which were twisted through the plastic here, and pry it off. But the other thing I had to separate was this pin right here of this part of the dump mechanism that goes back and forth. I removed the pin from in here by taking off the retaining flat fitting, which I'm going to have to replace. I had to basically bust it off, but I retained the pin, and we'll replace that with like a C-clamp. And I'm inside the unit right now, and as you can see, there's a lot going on here. Here here is the control unit right here, which has the switches as well as the directional left and right control right here. This is the full off stop for going forward control right here. And unfortunately, when you take this apart, the whole battery cage is no longer together, so you can't really get juice to test this stuff off. So what we're going to do is we're going to hook external power onto it. Here is the motor for turning the wheels left and right. We're going to apply power to this and see if we can get it to spin up. The other issue with this guy is the noisemaker is fully enclosed here and riveted on the upper part of the plastic body here. I don't want to take that apart. I can see there's an access hole right here with power, and I'll give you a close-up in a minute. And the little hammers that swing around and hit a drum, and this is the echo chamber of the drum that makes the noise. So it's very cool. So what we're going to do is independently put power to these devices and see if we can get the motors broke loose and working. And if that works, we're just going to clean it up and reassemble it. If it doesn't work, we're going to have to take the next step. Okay, what we've done here is put a battery box with some micro clips on it, and we're going to see if we can manually start this motor here by flipping it around. We had to do it a number of times, but we finally got it going. That was the problem with the steering, is the motor had just seized over time from sitting in one place. Look at it go. Now what we'll do is we'll add a little bit of oil onto the bearings of this motor. Do that again. Listen to that. How much smoother that is now. This is the directional motor that turns the steering wheels. Now how does it do that? Well, it goes down into this hole right here. This hole is geared to the wheels. This other little gear right here, that moves as well. If you can see that, okay. That goes against this gear on this axle, and that turns the steering wheel back and forth. Very cool and very ingenious. We're going to lubricate where these gears come through, and we're going to clean it up, and then we're going to look at the back motor and see if we can get that working as well. Okay, as I mentioned, what makes the noise is a little set of hammers that swings around on the motor here and hits a little drum that's under this chamber and makes a noise. We're going to hook our battery pack directly to the wires, the power wires here. There it goes. All I did was manually move these hammers around to break loose the motor. Is that cool or what? Very cool. Okay, now since we tested and got each individual piece working on this, now the idea is let's get the top mounted back on the chassis and see if things still do work. So this is the part of the bed dump we have to maneuver in and get back in that unit. We also have to make sure that this motor right here, the pin shaft of this motor goes in this hole right here of the plastic body. Make sure everything's lined up, pop it back together. I won't fasten the rivets down, but we'll see if, or the tabs down, but we'll see if things work with the cover in place. Prior to putting these together, this is the bottom cover that covers the gear that goes through the chassis. You may remember this from Big Bruiser as well. Well, it had been taped back on because this plastic tab broke. I hate that, so as long as I'm in here, there's a little screw hole here and there's one in the metal cab. We're going to put a nut and bolt in there and fix this problem right now before this goes back together. So I'm going to fit this on the bottom. And then get a small nut and bolt to feed through there. There we go. And that should clean that up really nice. Alright, now that we've got this bottom plate screwed back on, we're going to once again attempt to put this main unit back together. Okay. We're going to continue to try to get this in all the right places, which is easier said than done. And now, as we've snapped this chassis back on, we still have the control unit sitting to the side here. We're going to hook our battery, external battery pack, directly to the unit. There, motor runs. If I reach around the back, let's see if the noisemaker works. Sure does. And let's see if this controls the front wheels. There they are. Got everything working again. Now let's disconnect this. Let's clean up this wiring here. Put the module back on. We'll put the rest back together. Okay. Cleaning a lot of these bits and pieces up. This little grid right here, I don't know if you can see that too well. This was the little thing that they pressed the wires into so that they wouldn't short against each other. It's really weird. They could have, on other models, they kind of tape them up. But in this one, you just kind of lay them in here. I don't know if you can see that or not. So they don't touch and they don't short against each other. Very strange. We'll do the same thing. We'll put them back in there. And then we mount this unit back in here. As you can see right here, this is the control unit. Straighten one of these tabs out here a little bit first. There it goes. There's also a screw. Oops. Also a screw that holds it down as well. And we'll put that back on. It's kind of an ingenious way they've got this all put together. There's that. The screw is this one right here, which goes in this tab right here. Fastens down real nice. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to clean all this up. It's so dirty. With Q-tips, dampened a bit. Clean all this up real nice. And then we'll put the bellows back in and the cab back on and see how everything works. Finished cleaning and detailing the control box, and then we put the horn and reed assembly back in. And we're ready. We're ready to put the cab back on. Actually, put the wheel on. Now we're ready to put the cab back on. So we've got the unit back from the workshop into the playroom, and it's fully functional. Everything has been taken apart, cleaned, and repaired. We've got the horn back installed. That always worked, of course. We can go ahead and turn it on. The unit is now in neutral. We can switch it to drive, go forward, go backwards, back in neutral. And then we can, of course, tell it to go ahead and activate the dump. That's all the way down. There it goes. And lower it. We can go ahead and drop the transmission into drive. Backwards, forwards, and the other neat thing that works is now the wheels turn side to side. At the back, the motor sound control works. Very cool.
Thank you once again for watching our show.